Good afternoon, back again after my 12-hour shift last night, or I should say afternoon to afternoon. I've just woken up from a 4 hours sleep from this morning, so excuse me for my buggy eyes at the moment. First shift went really well. I have to say, I felt like very green in my green uniform. I felt like a very amateur, bumbling ECA. The chappie who took me around, he was a very competent paramedic. He was actually one of the instructors for the other paramedics, which is fantastic. It was a really good first paramedic colleague that I could have had. And he showed me so much, he even showed, basically showed me what I didn't remember and what things you have to learn on the job. So started in the evening, excuse me, at 7 o'clock in the evening. Always get to the station at least half an hour before your shift starts. The reason for that is, one, to make sure that you're on time, which is very super important, of course, and the other one is to make sure that you know what vehicle you'll be using, and then having a look at all the equipment on that vehicle, you know where the locations are, so then when you're called out to do certain jobs that you know where they are. Sadly last night I couldn't see all the vehicle because we were called out as soon as the vehicle came back to station from a previous job. But I was able to look at the kit bag and know where all my bits and pieces were there, which was great. But because I couldn't get time to have a look at the vehicle itself and see what other equipment was on there, I felt like I was a bit bumbling, so I forgot where the slide was and bits and pieces like that, which is fine because, I was told, which is great. Okay, so we only had 4 or 5 jobs last night in a 12-hour shift. It doesn't seem very many, but they were very long. And the reason why they're long is because we had to stay there for quite a long time on each patient to either signpost them to the correct help, i.e. this chappie fell down some stairs. He was drinking a bit as well to sort of say goodbye to a friend of his, and he had quite a bad contusion over his eye. He had some pain in his neck and back and everything, and he was quite a sort of not elderly gentleman, but I would say he wasn't as prime as a lot of people could be at his age. He was quite frail. So we basically took him into a hospital, and the way we did that, we used a vacuum mat to cover him up, to hold him together, which was an interesting one, because I've never used that type of equipment before. I didn't know where the collar was, so I could, when my paramedic said, "Oh, could you go and get the collar from the vehicle?" I couldn't remember where it was, so I had to go back and he had to explain to me again. So things like that wasn't brilliant, but it was a learning curve, and the paramedic understood that I didn't know where it was, and after that I found it. So he did all the placing the collar, and he taught me through how to put the mat out, how to pump it up after the patient was on the stretcher, and to make him nice and confined, because it's time the patient needed to have a lot of structure around him, just in case he had problems elsewhere in his spinal column. So we took him to the hospital, and that was interesting because I didn't know the way from the location to the hospital. Thankfully, sat-nav on the vehicles did work, so I was able to follow that quite well, and got myself to the hospital in a nice time. Didn't need to blue light it because he wasn't in any immediate danger, but we needed to get in there. And then the handover, or what we call at-mist, You'll probably come across that at some point in your training. But basically, you give the time and the incident and what's happened to the patient over to the doctors when you hand over to the hospital. So that was one of them. We had a call which we thought would going to be very difficult, and it was apparently this lady was threatening to kill herself, her family members, and was quite agitated and things like that. So we had to wait for police to attend the scene first before we could be safe to go in. As it turned out, it was a malicious call. So all these things go through your mind. I don't know what that person was like. What was the equipment they were going to try to hurt themselves and hurt other people with, and were they drunk on drugs? All these things go through your mind, which is fine, but you have to sort of take it as you see it. And as it was, we didn't even get to the house because we were stand down. They said it was a malicious call, and the police were stood down as well. So everyone left quite safe and happy. We had another lady who had a very, very bad, what's it called? Anxiety attack. She had some problems, and she had some very recent bereavement, and everything just got on top of her. And it really made sense to make sure she was signposted to the correct people, because she hadn't turned to anybody for a very long time, and it's been building up and building up and building up, and basically she broke down last night, and it was really quite heartfelt. She couldn't control her crying, her breathing, and things like that. This is the lady we left there in the end, because we were able to get an out-of-hours doctor to come and see her and to help her calm down. But it brings the importance that if you've got a stress, if you're worried about something, or basically life is on top of you, and when something goes wrong, then you've got like a million other things that go wrong together, or it seems that way. You really, really need to turn to friends and family or for other help. It doesn't mean to say that you're a bad person, doesn't mean to say that you're weak, doesn't mean to say that you have a mental illness or anything. All it means to say is that you need to express and to talk out, because that really does work. And I've got previous experience of that personally, so yes, it does help. So we were able to signpost her, and also get the out-of-hours doctor to come along and have an appointment with her. So that was good. And she was with her family as well. So that really helped out, and we were able to let her stay home, which was the best idea. Not everyone has to come to hospital. Sometimes the best place is at home. It depends if they're safe and they're well enough to stay there. Obviously, if situations change and we had a real problem with airways and things, and the ending result of that would have been different. Another one we had, let's have a think. We had I can't think of the other one now. Oh, we had a gentleman who was fitting. So fitting is like when someone has an epileptic fit, or has a fit because of either medical problem, it might be a brain damage problem, it could have been a historical problem where when they were a baby, they didn't have enough oxygen or something. So we didn't know, who this chap was, or why he was fitting so much, or why we were called up, because sometimes on the computer on the vehicle just gives you a little bit of information of what job you're going to, because the control person writes in. Sometimes they give you a whole ream of information which not necessarily is important, they went outside for a drink and came back in or whatever. But anyway, so we went for this chap, and he was unconscious, but he had his carers around him, so that was really good. So we had a really safe environment. He was already on a soft bedding, and we were able to extract him and take him to hospital, because obviously he fitted up 50 times that day, so obviously that's not correct for him. Some people fit certain amount of times in the day, certain amount of times in the week, and depends on their norm. If their norm is, fit 5 times a day, then we had to take that into consideration. But this chap was get to the point where he was actually not able to stay there because we needed to give him some extra help. So we placed him on a stretcher and took him out. Originally, we were going to place him on a carry chair, and a carry chair is literally a little chair with 2 wheels that you can put the patient in and strap them up, and then you can then take them out. Lifting as least as possible. The main thing with the ambulance service is we try and not lift as much as possible, because we need to save our backs. But in this case, we changed it from a carry chair to a stretcher, because he just couldn't get up, which is fine. We had help with the carers and that to help him to go onto the stretcher. And then I blue lighted him to hospital. No sirens on this one. The reason being is it was 3 o'clock in the morning, which was quite quiet on the road, you can imagine. The location was quite a quiet neighbourhood area, and normally if you're doing a Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3 call, which is the categories of which you need the blue light and sirens on, I would put sirens on, but my paramedic said to me, don't put sirens on. One is because there was no traffic and it was a very sort of sleepy area, because obviously it was a quiet area. And 2, the gentleman would have been aggravated with the noise, so I had to take it off, but make sure that when I go through red lights and crossroads, slow right down, keep your lights flashing, and make sure you progress safely. So that was fine. We had what was the last one? Can't remember what the last one was now. It's just a blur now. But ultimately, we were using cannulas. We were using OBS, so I was doing I did my first ECG last night. I didn't quite get the placement where I needed to, but that comes in time. I did a blood prick test, for hemoglobin. Didn't do a blood pressure one. My paramedic did that one. So basic OBS in primary survey, really, which is great. And then restocking the ambulance again to make sure that you replace everything that you've used. Going back to the station, restocking the restocked items. So we have a bag, like a grab bag. It's a big green bag with everything in it that you need potentially for most jobs. That's stocked up, but then with that you use that, then you go to the ambulance itself and take from the stock in the ambulance to put back into your bag. But obviously you need to restock the ambulance, so when we went back to station, we used the stores to restock the ambulance. So the next person who comes along and uses the ambulance should have a fully stocked ambulance and a fully fueled ambulance as well. So that was important. But no, we actually stopped on time. I got going about 10 past 6 this morning. So we were at station at 6 o'clock, which is amazing. This is very unusual. We signed off about 10 past 6. So I got home and I took my children to the childcare, and then I had 3 hours sleep. Because bin men, they've got to do their job as well, but I didn't have any earplugs in, but there you go. Okay, so that was my first shift, a 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Surprisingly, I was awake pretty much all that night. I thought I would be really, really bad. And that's not to say I won't be on the next shift. But what I did do is between sort of 12 and 3 in the afternoon before my shift, I put myself to bed and I tried literally just closing my eyes, covering my eyes up with a cloth or something, so just to keep out the light, because I don't have any blackout curtains upstairs. And literally just closing my eyes and trying to sleep. I didn't get any sleep, sadly, so I've been 24 hours without sleep. But I think that must have helped. Okay. I was yawning maybe about 10 o'clock last night, but I was really fully awake and I hadn't had the usual fuzziness in the brain. But one of my colleagues who was there last night, she had just finished her 4th night shift, and she looked a little worse for wear, poor thing. I think she misjudged it. I think she did an overtime shift, which ended up being a night shift on her normal 3 night shifts. So I think this morning she's going to go home and sleep 12 hours. But there you go. So I've got 2 days off now. I'm going to recover today, and then on Friday I have another shift. I can't remember which one that one is, but I'll let you know what happens on there. And what I'm going to reflect on from last night is make sure I know exactly where everything is in the vehicle first, and obviously in the bag itself, and just continue to follow the lead of the paramedic, which is exactly what I did do last night, but I'm going to continue doing that this time. So anyway, I hope that's helpful at all. Give me a shout by comments if you've got any questions. Please let me know how you're getting on yourselves, if you've got your first shift as well, so I'd love to hear from it. And I will catch you soon. Alright, take it easy and see you soon. Bye for now.